Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Lauren LaVera about Terrifier 2. Welcome to Popternative. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. So happy to be here.
I can't even imagine. Did you, in terms of, what you got yourself into with this movie, early on, getting the script, did you get the whole script at once? Was it a few scenes?
No, I did not. I did not get the whole script at once.
Okay.
I didn't see the first one before auditioning. I only got a scene, my first audition, and then I got a call back. I got a different scene. And then my third audition, I got a different scene. And then I had a better understanding by then what was going to happen. But I really had no idea, even up until I booked the part, what I was in for.
At some point, though, you get cast and you get the whole script, right?
Yes.
And are you just in your trailer just flipping, just being like, what is going on? Is it kind of like, what are the emotions like reading this whole script?
So I had my last audition in person with Damien, Elliot, Samantha Scafidi was there, who plays Victoria, and also Casey. And after I had, who plays Allie, after I had booked the part, Damien told me that same day, which is it's not how it's done. You usually, the casting director will reach out to your agent, who will reach out to you maybe days, sometimes weeks later. But he told me that day, you got the part. And I was like, oh, great, cool, let's do it. I went home that day and watched the first Terrifier to get a better idea of what I was getting myself into, and I was just so floored. And I'm honestly happy that I didn't watch the first one before, because I might have thought that Damien would have tried to kill me or something. I might have been a lot more nervous going in, meeting him in person. But I think that same day I also did receive the full script, and I must have read that script hundreds of times. And there were moments, especially specific kill scenes, that I read over 6-7 times, because I was like, what just happened?
You can't process some of them even now. I've watched the movie a couple of times. I still can't process some of them.
Yes, absolutely. And to Damien's credit, how it was written in the script is exactly how it showed up on screen.
That's awesome. Because sometimes that doesn't happen all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, absolutely true. So yeah, definitely an experience.
So this is the thing I'm really excited to chat with you about the most, because there's obviously been this buzz since the film has been out. There's been a lot of headlines that people some people are having a good time going to the theater seeing it, and then there's headlines that the opposite of that is happening. But I think the thing that really interests me is, for a lot of the fans that loved, Terrifier, the first one, and that love a lot of horror, is people wanted this movie for a long time. There was the rumblings about Terrifier 2 coming out or being official and everything, and it's finally out for people to see. So what's that like, being part of a film where there's the before hype and the after hype? Because that's unique, I feel like.
It was terrifying, because people were hyping it up for so long, for years.
I don't think people are talking about that either. We wanted this for a while.
So then there's always that nervousness. It's oh shit, they've been talking about this for years. What if it lets them down? Because they've been waiting for so long. But overwhelmingly, the people that I have seen say, we've been waiting for years, and I'm so happy we waited that long, because it was worth the wait. And that really warms my heart to no end, because we really worked so hard on that film. But having the before, even I was bugging Damien for 2 years straight, when are we getting this film? When can we see it? Because it helps me just as much as anybody else for other people to see it. And so I was just bugging the hell out of him for years. And now that it's finally out, it literally feels like it went from 0 to 100. Just fans, getting so, it's overwhelming, but I'm so grateful for it. Just an abundance of fans reaching out, and how much Sienna and Terrifier 2 has meant to them. And it's also led to other opportunities for me in my career. So I'm just really grateful. I'm surprised, but grateful.
I feel like what you brought up as well as the life of kind of storytellers and actors, like it's always 0 to 100. There's no consistent, like it's a 7 this week, it's a 7 next week. It might be like on a 3, and then a week later it's like a 13. Like there's no like, there's no consistency.
Absolutely. And I wish there was,
Me
because like
too.
then it just like hits you so hard and you're like, what is going on? But again, grateful for this moment. I know it's not going to last forever, so I'm just trying to take it in as much as
Oh,
possible.
absolutely. You can answer this specifically with Terrifier 2, but just in general, I mean, the horror landscape is so big right now. It's so massive. Some of the best and most popular movies coming out, Lauren, are horror movies, as we see with Terrifier 2. Is there pressure working in the genre, knowing how big the stakes are these days? And if you find there is like some kind of pressure and overwhelming thoughts, do you thrive under that pressure as a storyteller and an actor?
Well, I wasn't feeling the pressure before you brought it up.
Oh, the
But
pressure's there. It is there. It's not going away.
yeah, no, I mean, I think what's so great about a horror is that there's so many facets to horror. There's
Yeah.
so many genres. So what will work with one person won't work for another person, and that's totally fair. And I'm even seeing that with Terrifier. There are people that absolutely adore it, and some people that think it's trash. And like that, their opinions are none of my business. Truly, my job is to just to try to tell truth in a scene and try to bring a character to life in the way that the director wants me to.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think horror is so interesting because people get scared. It's just like so vast, but what I might find scary, someone else might not find scary. So it's just if it connects with at least one person, I'm thrilled.
That's a really good answer as well. I feel like that's one of my favorite things about the genre too, is there's like new ways to scare people.
Yeah.
I mean, Terrifier 2 has like many ways that scare people. So it's still in a lot of theaters across North America. So people haven't had a chance to go see it in theaters. They gotta go see it in the theaters. Gotta get the plug in. But I mean, okay, so you watched Terrifier 1 and like the first one, and then you're cast for the second one. How much intrigue before you start going to set do you have of like Art the Clown and like what it's gonna look like in person? Like what is that kind of mind specific with that character? Because it became iconic, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was so blown away by Dave's performance in Terrifier 1 before going to set. I watched that film a couple times before going to set. And even with the other girls, like in the film, like I often say that Catherine, I forget her name now in the first one, but she was the blonde one who was in
Yes.
the hacksaw scene. Dawn, of course, that's her name, Dawn. She reminds me so much of PJ Souls in that role, and I think she's like adorable and so funny. And I also really love Tara, and I love Samantha Scaffidi's role. So I just had such a great time with that. But when it comes to Dave, I actually did meet Dave in person before filming. We all went out to dinner, Dave, Damien, and I just got to know him a little bit more. And I think it really helped me get comfortable on set. But I mean, nothing can prepare you to seeing Art the Clown in person. The effects alone, like the makeup that Damien has created is just so horrifying. And then Dave, being the brilliant actor that he is, bringing Art to life. I mean, nothing can prepare you for that. And it always felt new when I did see him. And that's a testament to both Damien's art and Dave's art. So I'm just, yeah, no words can describe it.
Can we also give a shout out to the crew very quickly?
Totally.
Because if there's no crew, there's no Terrifier 2.
Absolutely. And it was a skeleton crew. So it was such a tiny crew that would try to bring their A game every day on set. And that we were all exhausted. We were on set for criminally long hours. So I'm so floored with all the artists and so impressed with everything everyone was able to accomplish because they really worked their asses off for this film.
Was there an overall mindset as a storyteller and actor working on this movie, or was it kind of different mindsets depending on different scenes? Your character kind of is thrown into a lot of situations, and some scenes have the focal point more on like the horror, some of them don't, and there's a lot happening. Is there an overall one kind of mindset preparation, or did it depend on kind of certain scenes and certain situations?
That's an interesting question. I mean, I did a lot of prep before even coming to set. Like, I made my own journal for Sienna, and it was lengthy. I still have it somewhere. I think I have it in like a whole binder. It was really long. So I did all the work beforehand, and then really coming to set each day, it was just trying to remember the things that I had written down and then letting go of them.
Yeah.
Because you can't hold on to anything too tightly because anything can happen on set. And you just have to be loose and ready and listen to your scene partners, listen to the director. So that was really the mindset coming to set for me every day. And I think that's also a testament to everybody I worked with, both the actors and crew and Damien, because everyone was loose and ready to go.
That's a very good answer as well. I also, when you're working on this film as well, Lauren, do you think about maybe like obviously like when you're working on it, you're not thinking about these things because you're focusing on like the craft and the tasks at hand. But like you rap, right? Like there's gonna be this like we saw it with the first one. There's this like legacy and kind of no shelf life aspect of these films, right? That kind of like will always be around. Like we talked about at the beginning, like before the interview started, and like every spooky season, people are gonna watch both of them back to back. Do you start thinking about that, where like there is gonna be kind of this like non-stop, like the film that you made, 6 years ago, like in the future, like it's never going away.
Yeah, it's something I tried not to focus on
Okay.
too, because I didn't want to make any assumptions about what would happen with Terrifier 2. I believed in it immensely, and I believed in all the artists I was working with immensely, but I felt like if I did set these expectations for Terrifier 2 and if they weren't met, I would have been so heartbroken. So I tried like, because I did have people reach out to me like, you're gonna blow up, Terrifier 2 is gonna blow up, and I'm like, don't say that. I have no idea if that's gonna happen. So like even Damien and Dave, when we did go out to dinner before we got started, they were like, Sienna's the Batman to Art's Joker, and I was like, what the hell are you saying right now? Like I was like, don't tell me that. I don't want to know that. Just let me be an actor. Let me do the job you want me to do. But then there were moments when I was on set that I was seeing what was happening, and I was like, this is special. This is definitely going to be special. And it reminded me so much of like Evil Dead 2. Like I was just so like I saw the parallels from the horror movies that I grew up loving, and I was just like, oh god, okay. And I tried not to think about it again, but was like, okay, I really got to bring my A game, because I do think that this is going to form a life of its own.
And to add to that, the life of its own, it becomes a life of its own where, people are going to be, dressing up as Art the Clown for many Halloweens and everything. And then there's like going to always be reaction videos and memes and everything, right? Like literally having a life of its own. I feel like the reaction videos are a whole new world compared to the reviews, because like you said, there's going to be people and there's nothing you could do about it that are going to like movies and people that aren't going to like movies, right? Have you had a chance to kind of see a lot of these reaction videos though? And like because they're pretty funny. Like some of them are pretty like really raw, where people are just like, I watched this movie and like this movie was crazy.
Yes. I mean, I try not to seek them out. They're usually sent to me. One that I did watch recently was from the horror bandwagon, and it's this couple that does horror, and they were so funny. Like I was cracking up. Like my partner was sleeping next to me, and I was like really cracking up, and he was like, what are you laughing at? And I'm like, you wouldn't understand, you wouldn't get it. And I was just dying. So I have such a fun time watching reaction videos, especially when they're sent to me, and if they love the film, it's even better. So yeah, it's been amazing.
There's one TikTok out there, and he does a very good job of saying like, spoiler, if you haven't seen Terrifier 2, like get away from this TikTok. But he like explains all the deaths like in a row of like what happens in the movie. No, but like maybe not explains, but he just says what happens. And I just find it like, you're just like, if you haven't seen the movie and like you're kind of too like afraid to see it, because that happened too. Like there's some people that are like, I hear about the gore, I don't know if I could do it, but you just get them in this TikTok and like a list, and it just gets more over the top and crazy and crazy.
Thank God for those creators, because like even for a Serbian film, which I refuse to watch, but I know it's like huge in the horror community, I watched like a YouTube video talking about it, and I was like, okay, now I know I never want to watch this, because I heard about some things that have happened. But I can appreciate the storytelling, I can appreciate the art that went into it, but like some things are just too much for people, and that's true.
But you see, for me, Like, I guess one day, like, Art the Clown could knock on my door and, like, be like, hello, and, like, I scare the crap out of me. I mean, I guess it is realistic, but, like, to me, like, The Strangers is realistic. Liv Tyler Strangers, you know what I mean? Like, that to me is, like, I can't, like, I have a hard time watching that movie. Like, that movie scares the crap out of me because it's, like, realistic. I'm like, you know, like, I don't know if we can say, like, Terrifier 2 is, like, realistic, you know what I mean?
Totally. And I get that. And I get people being able to like separate themselves and being like, well, there's not much realism in this. And I think Damien did a good job finding that balance of comedy, a little over the top gore and deaths to like some actually terrifying moments. So, and I think that's what makes Terrifier 2 able to creep into more people's homes for that reason, because there is this sense of like, all right, this is a little over the top. I don't see this happening tomorrow to me. So I think the watchability makes it a little bit easier for people.
And very quickly before I wrap up this interview, because I know you know where I'm going to go with this right now. When I say I am a big, huge pro wrestling fan. When did you know or find out? Was it early on that Chris Jericho was going to be involved with the project?
No, I don't think I knew until like I was on set with him one day. And I wasn't even like filming that day. I would just like try to visit the crew because I love those guys. And I would go and visit them and be like, hey, can I help in any way? Like, I'm here. I don't have anything to do today. And he was just like walking around set. And I think we met briefly. He was busy, so we didn't really get a chance to talk. But he did reach out to me afterwards with some really, like recently, a couple weeks ago when the film came out, with some really kind words. And we were just kind of like fangirling over each other a little bit. But yeah, he's a really wonderful guy. And hopefully we can see him in future installments.
Absolutely. Lauren, thank you so much for coming on Popternative. It was so great chatting with you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was so fun.
Yeah, so the movie is still in theaters in a lot of areas in North America, so check your local theater listings for that. You have an Instagram account, right? That's where people can kind of keep update with everything, right?
I do, at Lauren LaVera. I also have a Twitter, which is @_Lauren LaVera_. And yeah, those are probably the best places to find me.
Amazing. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Until next time, it's Lauren LaVera and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.